And so today we're centering this discussion on the ECE workforce very specifically, because often our policy proposals and discussions for a more equitable early care and education system are focused on access for children and families while overlooking the workforce. Children's learning environments are their teachers' work environments. And so those two are go hand in hand, they're inextricably linked. And so as you think about the possibilities for what we can do in Alameda County and what you all can do in Alameda County, centering the workforce alongside children and families who are encountering the most harm will really help to facilitate the development of an equitable ECE system. I think there's also this assumption that low wages means the work is low skilled or that workers have low levels of education or training. And that is simply not the case. When we look across all early educators in California, we see that the poverty rate is 17%. That's 8 times that of other workers and 6 times that of preschool teachers. But the disparities aren't only between early childhood and the public school system. We also see this within the sector. Among early educators in California, for example, Black educators are consistently paid less than their peers doing the same work. We found that staff who identified as people of color were overrepresented as assistant teachers, accounting for more than 75% of assistant teachers, even though they're 67% of all teaching staff in the sample. What does that tell us about opportunities that people are being exposed to, offered, and some really critical questions to examine there. We found that 75% of teaching staff in our sample worried about having enough money to pay their monthly bills. Many worried about paying their housing costs. And as you can see here, 54% of teaching staff worried about having enough food for their families. So just sit with that for a minute and take that in, what that means to have this level of economic worry, and it really undermines people's ability to be as effective as they can when they have this stress. And so when we look at this, there are also other consequences. Not surprising, in that 2016 study of Alameda County teachers, we found high rates of turnover. 17% of teachers and almost a quarter of assistant teachers had left their jobs the previous years. And for some centers, they experienced turnover rates as high as 80%. 80% of the programs we surveyed that were open reported they were open because they lacked the financial resources to survive a closure. They were also reporting high levels of worry about their own health, their family's health, the health of families that were participating in their program, but they simply didn't have the resources to close. You can see here that almost half of family childcare providers by July had not been able to pay themselves. Family childcare providers were much more likely to report that they had begun paying business expenses with their credit card and incurring personal debt. Across centers and family childcare programs, 1 in 5 had already missed at least one rent or mortgage payment on their program. There has been a real reluctance to say just how much it costs to provide high quality early care and education services. We've done some estimates with the Economic Policy Institute. We did an estimate for every state to demonstrate what that would look like, what it would cost if we had a system where early educators were treated at least on a par with their elementary school counterparts, where they had the compensation, benefits, where staffing levels were what they should be, where family childcare providers also have the level of supports that they need. And in California, that cost is between $30,000 and $39,000 per child. And people kind of gasp at that number, but it just is, that's what it is, and that's what it costs. And when we don't fund the system at the true cost, what we've done is subsidize the system on the backs of the people doing this work.